Hi everyone, happy December. I wanted to do just a quick little intro to this vlog. So I did this video last year and I actually really liked how it turned out. So I attempted to do kind of a vlogmas, bookmas, and it ended up just being like one big video. So I'll link that here. And last year and then this year again, I just want to attempt to vlog as much as possible in December, from the beginning of December running up to Christmas. I plan to do lots of reading, so hopefully it'll be good. We'll see how it goes. So I'll go through the books that I'm reading at the moment. If you watched my Vampathon vlog, again, I'll link it here. When I finished up there, I was in the middle of a few books. I'm still in the middle of two of them. Currently I'm reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I'm like halfway through, more or less. I did put this down to read something else. I just want to continue with it. I'm really liking this though. It's like a very accessible classic, like it's not difficult to understand in any way. The tensions between Jane Eyre and Mr. Rochester is really amping up now. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest, yet. But it is very entertaining to read and I'm really enjoying it. This is the book I'm kind of concentrating on. I wanted to get this finished before I actually go home for Christmas, which is this Sunday, so it's not going to happen. So I'll have to take it with me, but I'm happy about it. The other book I'm in the middle of, and which I think I'll pick up after Jane Eyre, is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. During Vampathon I got to page 100, like exactly, and then I put it down. So I haven't picked it back up since. But the first 100 pages I did read, I really liked it. Bit void of fantasy lately, so I think I'm excited to get back into this. I really liked the world setup. So yeah, excited to read that. In terms of what I'm doing, I'm going home in 2 days, so I need to pack. With that, I need to like choose which books I'm going to take with me, so I'll vlog that experience. But actually this evening I'm going to have a little craft night with some friends, so I think that'll be fun. Before that, I think I'm probably going to head to Starbucks and read some of this before I go. So yeah, quick little intro. Don't know how much I'll vlog. I'm not sure, but I'm going to attempt to vlog as much as possible. So yeah, I'm going to try to read a lot and do lots of fun Christmassy things. Hello. So I made it back home. I just wanted to do a quick little update on what books I brought with me. I think I was planning on doing the process of picking out what books I'm going to take with me for Christmas, but I'm not gonna lie, I packed very last minute. So yeah, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I brought Jane Eyre and I'm actually like, I'd say 3/4 of the way in. I think I don't have too much left to go. Still really loving this. The story is so good. There's definitely some things that are outdated in it, naturally enough, but the story still holds up quite well. It's still very well done. I can't wait to like finish this and then watch like an adaptation. The one with, I can't pronounce the actress's name, but I'll put her name here. She was Alice in Alice in Wonderland. She did an adaptation of Jane Eyre, I think like maybe 10 years ago or something, and I do remember watching that and thinking it was good. I'll probably finish this week, but we shall see. And then also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I brought Darker Shade of Magic. I still haven't read any more of this, but I'm excited to keep going with it. Yeah, 100 pages in of about 400 pages. I read those 100 pages very quickly, so I get the impression this will be really easy to digest. So the two like newer books I brought with me is Midnight in Everwood, and this is by M.A. is it Cosnier? Forgive me, I'm not totally sure how to pronounce that name. This came out last year. It had quite a lot of hype around it. It's basically a retelling of The Nutcracker, and I thought I'd take it with me because it was the only book on my shelves that was very Christmassy or wintry. So I was like, I better read this time of year. So I decided to take it with me. I've heard good things, but then also some mixed things. Like a lot of people say it's very lyrical and beautiful, but I've heard like average reviews as well. So I'm not quite sure what my expectations are going into this, but hopefully I'll be blown away. I actually am unaware of the story of the Nutcracker. I'd say maybe it'd be more interesting to have known the story of the Nutcracker than going into this. I'll kind of paraphrase the blurb. So you have Marietta, her kind of dancing days are drawing to a close when she needs to get married. But when a toy maker purchases a neighbouring townhouse, it heralds the arrival of magic and wonder in Marietta's life. Yeah, because I think the original story is it a girl finds a nutcracker under her Christmas tree and she's teleported somewhere, I think. The toy maker constructs an elaborate theatrical set for her final ballet performance on Christmas Eve. She discovers it carries magic all of its own and she's transported from her family's ballroom to a frozen sugar palace. And then she has to find a way to return home before she's trapped in Everwood forever. Okay, that sounds really magical and cute. And I believe this is a general like kind of YA book. So maybe like a slightly darker spin on the Nutcracker. So yeah, I didn't realize, I thought this was kind of a wintry book. It's very much a Christmas book. So I'll definitely try to get to this quite quickly. Maybe I'll read this first. Maybe I might do Jane Eyre this, then this, because I do feel like this needs to be read in December. Okay, that'll be done. Next book I brought with me is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas. So this is the third installment of A Court of Thorns and Roses. If you haven't already, I should have my recent reads book review video up here. That should be out already. And I did do a book review of A Court of Thorns and Roses and A Court of Mist and Fury. Quick rundown is I did quite enjoy Court of Thorns and Roses, and then I was quite disappointed by A Court of Mist and Fury. It was just a little bit sillier and more melodramatic than I was expecting. But I still really enjoyed it, and I'm still excited to continue with the series. So I've heard that, you know, read A Court of Thorns and Roses, it gets better after A Court of Mist and Fury. So I think my expectations were quite high and it didn't meet that. So the fact that I know kind of what I'm getting myself into this time, I think I'll probably will enjoy this a bit more. But yeah, not absolutely crazy about Maas's writing, but we will see. I still am very much enjoying it, and it's a very unique story, and I feel like the story will stay with me for a really long time, so that is a good sign of a good plot. But yeah, this will probably be the last of the pile that I have here. But that's all the books I took with me. I'll see if I get this to in December at all. I don't even know if I will, but I brought it with me. Really depends how quickly I get through these two. But yeah, I think I'm more optimistic about this one because I know what to expect this time. And it's a good chunky book. Yeah, if you want to check out my full review, I've got it here. So yeah, that is my reading plans, and I'm hoping to get Jane Eyre done soon. Definitely going to watch the movie when I'm finished this. Yeah, this is definitely teetering on a 5-star read for me, so I'm really loving the process of reading this, so I'm looking forward to finishing it. Hello. Okay, I'm out for a walk and it's so slippery. I don't know if this is the safest thing to do, but I thought I would try anyway. There's no gym here, so the only way to keep fit is going out for walks, really. Yeah, I decided to turn back. It's just a bit too icy here. It is actually giving an orange weather warning. But yeah, when I was doing my updating what books I brought with me, I didn't mention the book I'm listening to. I started listening to this on my journey home, and it's Kingdom of the Cursed by Kerry Maniscalco. I read Kingdom of the Wicked during Vampathon actually in October, and I finished it off in November. I thought it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. I thought sorry, I'm like looking at the ground so I don't fall. I thought the plot was a little bit convoluted, like a little bit hard to grasp, but I still enjoyed it. Basically kind of like a very slow burn fantasy romance, but I thought I'd give the sequel a go, and I'm liking it so far. It's less complicated, which I think I like. But yeah, I did find the plot a bit hard to grasp at places, so yeah, I'm going to just try not to die here. I'm going to try not to fall over. Oh, I really want to go for a walk, but it's so icy. Like that road behind me is just a bottle. It just feels like you're ice skating nearly. The sides of the roads are fine. I don't think this is very safe. Like, it's fine on the absolute sides of the road, but no, better be safe. Like, if a car did come and the car swerved, that is quite dangerous. So it just didn't thaw today. Like, it's about 2 p.m. now, and it thawed a little bit, but it really didn't enough to use the road.
Christmas Carol like the back of my hand. Brilliant. All right. There's a little mole on my thumb and a scar on my wrist from when I fell off my bicycle. No, don't tell us your hand. Tell us the story.
Hi everyone, apologies for the thrown up hairdo. I think I got a little clip, but it actually snowed today or last night, and it's so cold here that it's kind of like frozen over a little bit, but it's been very, very, very icy here in Donegal. I work from home, so it makes no difference, but still, it's been hard to like get out for walks and stuff, so we're a little bit stuck in the house. That's the only thing. So I actually just wanted to react. The Goodreads award winners were announced for 2022 like last week, I think, but I haven't had a chance to like sit down and react to them, so I wanted to do that now. Last year I tried to read all the 2021 winners. I got to a lot of them, but not all of them. So I might try to do the same thing this year and read as much of these as possible. Quickly going through this now, I haven't read any of these. I didn't really read a lot of recent releases this year. Kind of read what I wanted to read. So the fiction winner was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I've heard a good bit about this. I think it's like a slight literary fiction, kind of light sci-fi novel. I don't know, is it a little bit like Ready Player One-esque, where it's based on a video game or video game development? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it has a slight dystopia element to it. Not quite sure, but I would be interested in picking this up. There is a tendency with Goodreads, I feel like it is a popularity contest, so I think like authors and that are popular just tend to win, not necessarily that they deserve to win. It's still fun to go through it and see what is popular, really, because it is, the Goodreads Awards is a popularity contest. So for mystery and thriller, it was The Maid, and that is by Nita Prose or Prose. I'm a little bit shocked at this. Like, this book was marketed like crazy. It was on every shelf. Like, you couldn't get away from it. But I heard like mixed things. I heard like it was just all right. I think in this, the main character is a maid, and she is a maid of a hotel. There's a murder in the hotel. I don't know, does she try to solve the mystery or she is blamed for it? Not quite sure, but I think that's roughly the lines of that book. The historical fiction winner was Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and that's crazy that that is historical fiction because it's based in the 90s. But it kind of, I think it just won because it is Taylor Jenkins Reid. All her books are within the same universe and they've all been super popular. So this is the new one. I haven't heard anything about this yet actually, but I am excited to pick it up. I've read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I've read Malibu Rising, and I loved both those books. Carrie Soto is a character, or she makes a cameo in Malibu Rising, so I'm excited to pick this up. But yeah, I suppose it as a historical fiction is a little bit off for me. Sorry, I'm also noticing my nose is slightly blocked. I think I am catching a little bit of cold. So the fantasy winner, and again, not too surprised by this, is Sarah J Maas's House of Sky and Breath, and this is the sequel to Crescent City. I think it's House of Earth and Blood, I think is the first one. I know this had a really, really like dramatic ending that people were reacting to, but I haven't been spoiled. The first one, all I know is, I haven't read it yet, but it's an urban fantasy, and I think the main character's friend dies or is murdered, and I think it's years later she's investigating how it happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, interested to get to that. The romance winner was Emily Henry, so I'm not surprised by that, and that was Book Lovers. I actually have no idea what happens in this one. Like, no idea. I know a lot of her books are very, very similar. I did read You and Me on Vacation this year, and I did quite like it. Like, it was okay. It wasn't like anything amazing, but I did quite like it. So yeah, I would definitely give Book Lovers a try. The next few I haven't heard about at all. So the science fiction winner was Sea of Tranquility, and that's by Emily St. John Mandel. Never heard of it. The sci-fi winner last year was Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary, and that was one of the best books I read last year, or in 2022. I'll pick this up. Haven't heard anything about it. Same with the horror one, that is Hidden Pictures by Jason Merkulak. No idea. The cover shows someone burying something in the ground. Covering up a murder? I don't know. The next few are the non-fiction type books, which I usually don't read. But the humour one was The Office BFFs, and that's by Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsley. Non-fiction was Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. History and biography was Bad Gays, A Homosexual History, and that's by Hugh Lemmy and Ben Miller. Those I probably won't pick up. Not that big into non-fiction, so probably won't pick any of them up. However, the memoir and autobiography, which is a category I usually don't pick up either, but this year it was I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy, and of course this has been super popular this year. Apparently it's really, really good. What I want to do is listen to this on the audiobook because I know Jeanette McCurdy reads it herself, so I feel like that would be a really, really good way to consume this book. But yeah, I usually don't go for memoir and autobiography, but I will this year. I'm a little bit surprised by this one. This is the graphic novel winner was Heartstopper Volume 4. And I thought that released years ago. I didn't think that released this year. Obviously I'm wrong, because I think these have had to have been released within the past year. Maybe it was really, really early 2022. But yeah, no surprise, the Netflix show came out. It was super popular. I haven't watched it or read any of these, but I would be interested in reading them. So the poetry winner was Amanda Gorman, and it's called Call Us What We Carry. And she won last year, I think. I think she won. She did Joe Biden's inauguration. She read a poem there, I think. Not that big into poetry, so I probably won't pick this up either. The rest, though, I think I will. So, debut novel was Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Never heard of it. Didn't hear anything about that. Another one I'm kind of shocked at is the young adult fiction. That was The Final Gambit, and that's by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Again, that's another book I didn't realise was released in 2022, but it must have. I do have the first and I think the second book, but I haven't read them yet. But yeah, this is at the end of the trilogy. I think this is a little bit like Knives Out, the movie, where I think like someone dies, they leave a massive inheritance, and there's some sort of competition to gain the inheritance. And I think one of the people is like a really random person. And I believe there's like a love triangle. I've heard good things about this, so I am excited to get into it. But yeah, didn't realise the final one came out this year, but it did. And then young adult fantasy was Gallant by V. Schwab. This is the only book I actually have on my bookshelves. I think out of all of these, yeah, I don't own any of these apart from Gallant. And that's a short little fantasy novel. I don't quite know what the premise is. I think it's something like an orphan girl is invited to some distant family, but I think I got the book with a Lumicrate. But it's V. Schwab. I like V. Schwab. I think it should be good, and I definitely will pick it up. The last one I won't pick up, it's middle grade and children's. Usually I do go for the middle grade book, but this year it's for small children, so I won't pick it up. It's called I Am Quiet. So it's by Andy Powers, and then Betsy Peterson was the illustrator. So like this is a little picture book, and I think it's like celebrating being an introvert and how being an introvert isn't a bad thing. Being shy and introverted isn't a bad thing. So I like that. But since it's a little picture book, I'm not going to pick it up myself. Yeah, I don't know. It would have been nice to see different authors win, I think. Like Taylor Jenkins Reid won again, Sarah J Maas won again, Emily Henry won again. I suppose Alice Oseman won again. V. Schwab as well. Like a lot of the kind of the same authors win a lot. So maybe it would have been nice for something else to win. In fairness, I didn't read a lot of the short lists or the long lists even. I think the only one I read was Belladonna by Adeline Grace. And I think that was the young adult fantasy section. So I can't really have a say too much. But yeah, I'll definitely will get to a few of these. Probably most looking forward to Carrie Soto's Back. Definitely. Lots of books I didn't hear anything about at all. So that's interesting too. I think I got a clip of this, of me finishing Jane Eyre and starting Midnight Neverwood. So I thought I'd give like a little brief review of Jane Eyre and like what I'm thinking of Midnight Neverwood so far. I loved this, absolutely 5 stars. I was shocked at how good this was, and I was shocked at how easy to read this was. Most classics, I do find you nearly need to like just accept some paragraphs as they are because you won't be able to totally fathom them. But I did find this one actually very easy to understand, and I felt like there was never anything there that wasn't supposed to be there. Everything had a reason. I love that it's character study on Jane and her life. It's written in the form of her, I think she's roughly 30 years old and she's reflecting back on her life leading up to then. All the characters are really, really flawed, but they're all really, really believable. Like, you really do believe the love that she has for Mr. Rochester and the love he has for her. It's very, very, very compelling and real. I think I've read a few bad romances where like you're trying to force two people together, where in this book you really do feel that the two characters are very much in love. Now, is it outdated in places? Absolutely. This is hardly a spoiler. This book is so old, but I'm so sick of first cousins being like asking people to marry them. There's a character in this who's Jane's first cousin, and he asks her to marry her, and you're like, why? Why is this the plot of so many classic books? Like, you have it in Persuasion, you have it in Pride and Prejudice, just so many, and it's so gross. There's so many people in England, why do you have to marry your first cousin? But anyway, she doesn't, spoiler. I just adored, like really, really adored how flawed Mr. Rochester was. Even Jane Eyre with her flaws, Jane Eyre's personality. I loved how independent she was and how feminist this was for the time. But yeah, really enjoyed every second of reading this. Really, really, really enjoyed it. Took me longer than I thought, but I did really enjoy it. I think just bear in mind like the outdated parts of it, but it's hard to read a book like this with a 2022 lens. Like, you really just do need to remember that it's a classic, because definitely there's some things that wouldn't fly today, but still excellently written, like characters believable and fantastic. Loved how flawed they are. Just something I really, really like is that both of them are unattractive, like canonically unattractive. I love that. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Can't wait to watch the movie now. I was looking and I can't see it on any streaming platforms, so I might have to get the DVD, but definitely want to watch that movie soon. So then I quickly moved on to Midnight in Everwood. This is by Emma Cosnier. And this is a really nice edition actually, like the end pages are like really pretty. This is signed as well. I think I got this in Book Box Club, which is sadly a company that's out of business, but they were a book subscription I used to get. But I think I got this last year, but it is a really pretty book. I'm on page 54 and I read those first 50 pages super, super, super quickly. I think this is going to be a very easy to digest, like quick book to read. Yeah, I already feel like that was very, very quick, which is good because this is a Christmas book. So far it doesn't feel too Christmassy, it's just set around Christmas time. So I feel like after Christmas it would still be okay too, but it's definitely based on that time. So I did want to pick this up before I picked any of my other books up. So yeah, so far it's mostly really the world building at the moment still and the character introductions. First impressions is that this is cute. It's quite cute. I think it's quite whimsy. The writing is quite good, I feel like, but maybe slightly too lyrical and whimsy for me. I noticed this when I read The Winter Garden, that was by Alex Bell last year. That tried so hard to be whimsy. For example, in this, Marietta takes the toy master's his sleeve and she says, oh, he smelled like peppermints and secrets. Things like that. I don't know, that doesn't do a lot for me. I know some people might really like that type of writing, like that really like cutesy fairy tale kind of whimsy writing. I would rather be shown that something is magical than told. So far it's definitely not as much as The Winter Garden. So yeah, I don't know, is this 100% going to be my cup of tea because of that? But yeah, and then I'm also wondering, so the main person of the story is Marietta. This is a loose retelling of the original Nutcracker book, which I've never read before. I don't actually know the story, so maybe I would have enjoyed this a little bit more if I knew that story. But basically you have Marietta, she's about to turn 21 and like her parents give her a bit of an ultimatum. She has to finish up her dancing, so a ballet dancing, before she turns 21. Like they're letting her have it till she turns 21 and then they're like, you have to get married, you have to be part of society. And she doesn't want that. The only thing is, I'm like, she makes it sound like a death sentence. I'm like, okay, getting married's not that bad. Like, why is that so bad? Her brother, I won't spoil anything, her brother's in a worse situation, honestly. But yeah, her parents are definitely people that want to kind of move up in society very much, where the two children, Frederick and Marietta, really just want to kind of pursue their talents, their creative talents. So Marietta's ballet, Frederick likes art and creating art. But yeah, I definitely think Frederick's in more of a worse situation than Marietta. All she has to do is get married. And I'm like, is it that bad? I mean, if she got married to a guy who would support her ballet, that would be good, instead of relying on her parents. Yeah, so I'm not quite believing the stakes yet, but it's still early days. This new doctor called Dr. Drosselmeyer, he moves into Nottingham town and he's kind of the talk of the town. He's really like, he's successful and handsome. Marietta's parents are trying to set him up with her, and I'm reading this and I'm like, is that bad? Is that such a bad thing? But apparently to Marietta that is a bad thing. I understand she wants to keep dancing rather than get married. He's very difficult to read, so he's kind of given up being a doctor and now he's a toy maker and he makes these amazing creations and stuff, so he's a bit up in the air. But yeah, this is supposed to get more magical. I think Marietta's supposed to be transported to a different realm. So I'm looking forward to that, looking forward to kind of delving more deep into this and seeing if I like it more. I will keep you updated. So far it's just okay, but I'll give it a chance. So it's actually been a while. I wanted to like wrap up this vlog, but it's actually been so hard to get some free time. I'm actually back at my house, but yeah, found very little free time to just like sit down and wrap up this vlog because I did want to talk about Midnight Neverwood by M.A. Kuzniar. This is the worst book. This is the worst book I've read this year. I didn't really enjoy it, I have to say. Like, I'm fascinated when people, I know some people want to get them up early, but best or worst books videos that come out at the end of the year, a lot of people have them at the beginning of December. And I'm like, you still have so much time to potentially read the best or worst book of the year. And mine happened to be the worst book of the year the last week of December. I'm being very harsh. It wasn't the worst thing in the whole world, but I really didn't personally enjoy it that much. For me, it was like 1.5 stars. I rounded up to 2 stars on Goodreads. I think I didn't know the Nutcracker story. I never seen the ballet. I've never read the book. I was totally unaware of the story. So I think if I did know them and then read this as like an adaptation or a retelling, I might have enjoyed it a little bit more. So maybe if you are a fan of that, you might enjoy this. But I really didn't like it. Oh my gosh. I really disliked it. I'm not a person to DNF, but I think I was close to DNFing this. I know DNFing is a good idea, but for me, I kind of like, even if a book is kind of bad, I kind of like to finish them, especially when this was a relatively quick read as well. It does give you perspective of what a good book is then, or what you really enjoy, or you writing style you like and stuff. So I think it's a good comparison. Generally, I think it's better, you know, life is short. If you're not enjoying your book, put it down. But I did persevere and read all of it. And in a way, I'm glad I did, because the ending did redeem itself a little bit. I have to say the first half of the book wasn't enjoying. When the main character goes to Everwood, I kind of liked it a little bit better. And then the ending was kind of wrapped up quite nicely. But I have to say the writing style in this just really put it down for me. Really, really did. I found the dialogue so bad, like really, really bad. I was like, no one would actually say that. It didn't seem accurate to 1906 England. It felt like juvenile writing trying to be adult. That's how this felt to me. Like, it is technically an adult book. There's actually a fairly graphic sex scene towards the end of it, which I wasn't expecting at all. I thought it was so out of place. That being said, the romance itself in it, I thought I did quite like it. It was kind of cute. It's just a pity that the writing style, because the story itself, that's where it got its 1 or 2 stars, is like the story itself is pretty decent. But obviously that is based on a classic. Couldn't get over the writing. There could be descriptions in the book where there's like 5 people in the room, for example, and then there's dialogue between 2 characters and you're like, no, they have to be in private. They have to be in private to be saying that to each other. But it would never describe other people leaving, or how a character goes from point A to point B was never explained sometimes. So you're like, where is this conversation coming out of? Where are they? It was so hard to picture what was going on because it was so badly explained. Oh dear. Just did not like this. There was definitely like references and like difficult words thrown in for the sake of it, trying to make it appear smarter, but it really wasn't. Didn't like the main character that much. I felt like a lot of the characters were very one-dimensional. Yeah, very inaccurate to the time period and stuff, but I think this would have been decent. I'd say this would have been a 3-star if the writing was better. It just felt very... Scenes would play out in a very disjointed way. Like, for example, there's a scene where Drosselmeyer more or less kind of proposes or insinuates he would like to propose to the main character, and her parents are in the room, but it's never explained that they're like huddled in a corner like having this conversation to themselves. So I was reading that scene being like, is her parents just listening in on it? And they aren't, but it just wasn't explained well. So there was things like that. It was so hard to kind of like picture what was going on, like where conversations took place. Something serious could be happening, and then one of the characters would be like, do you like the captain? It's like, aren't you in the middle of something like really dangerous right now? I don't know. Things didn't really piece together in my head very well reading this. So that, the really cringy dialogue, I think some of the similes, like stars are very important in this world, so I understand the author maybe wanting to bring in starlight as a simile, but that was kind of used way too much. I think there was one point within 3 pages things were described like starlight within like a few paragraphs, and I was like, oh gosh, you know, I feel like this wasn't edited very well. I better say some good points. It was quite whimsy, it was quite magical, it was fairy tale like, so maybe reading this I might enjoy the actual real Nutcracker story. I did like how everything wrapped up. The plot was okay, but generally I feel just like the writing style and the characterizations really put this book down for me. So 2 stars, unfortunately. My least favourite book I read this year. I don't think it's the worst thing in the whole world, but I just did not enjoy it. Anyway, I'm not having much luck with these wintry books. I read The Winter Garden last year. I liked this a lot better than Midnight Neverwood, but still it wasn't that great. I thought this was too whimsy, too many similes. The story was a lot better though. This was like a 3-star for me. That being said, if you liked this, you might like this as well, because I felt like they were very, very similar. I think actually Alex Bell recommends it. I think she's one of the authors here. Not for me. Not for me. Yeah, apologies. This vlog is coming quite late. I did intend to have this up right after Christmas, just did not have time, so this vlog will be more of a winter vlog than a Christmas vlog. I hope you still enjoyed anyway. I'll leave all my socials down below on all the books I mentioned. I'll leave as links in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.